Hello and welcome to Still Uncaptured with me, Kgomotso Matsunyane.
And myself, Ndumiso Ngcobo.
Don't forget to interact with us on our socials. I'm at Motsomatsu, that's my handle, on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
And I am at Ndumiso Ngcobo on Elon's Twitter, on TikTok, and on Instagram. Yeah, it is Elon's Twitter. Whatever that letter is, we don't recognize it. And of course, I'm Ndumiso Ngcobo on Facebook.
Indeed. And the show is irreverent. We talk about whatever we want to. We're not one side of the coin. We are pretty much, we say whatever we want, man.
We left field, man. We
unconventional.
That's the word.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's the word.
Okay.
Whenever there are two sides, we always look for the third one.
Indeed. And today we have literally an icon with us, Ms. Andile Gaelesiwe. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing.
How you doing?
Yeah. I'm happy to see the two of you.
Yes.
Yes. Welcome back to the airwaves.
Thank you very much.
Oh no, our lives are better for this.
Thank you so much for that, Andile.
Thank you.
So we've been wanting to have you here for a while.
Since the beginning, actually.
Literally.
Since we started the podcast, we've been like, when are we having Andile?
Wow.
Because we keep on having these conversations and then your name comes up.
Right.
But yeah.
And so today we kick off the show with gratitude about like, what is it for you that you are particularly, do you have something that you're grateful for today?
My goodness, I've got goosies. I'm grateful for new cycles. I'm grateful for cycles old, done, and not serving anymore, closing. A particular cycle of 10 years.
Okay.
And it's been a journey. I mean, even what you were asking me off air forms part of that cycle. And I think for me, the power for me is being able to recognize that a particular cycle in my life has closed because I've done the work. So it's not just something that just happened because God loves us. Yeah, God loves us, but I'm in charge of my journey. So knowing that I literally have closed a cycle and then have nature tell me in so many ways and the energy around me agree to a place where I can safely tell you I owe nobody karma.
Damn, that's deep.
I owe no one. I'm Shabin.
Sure.
And where I am right now is the most exciting time because I can actually create what I really want. Because I feel like more cooler and the way we get born, things are imposed on you, whether it's church or kinds of relationships or whatever socialization. And then there comes a time, depending on the kind of family and upbringing, where now it's you on the driver's seat and not with everything that was always said to you. And for me, it comes at this age that I can now do what Andile wants to do.
Mapoloba, what about you?
Grateful for that.
You listening to that gratitude?
No,
it's deep.
I love it. And it's so interesting because it's almost like the yin to the yang that is my gratitude today. You know what I'm grateful for? I'm grateful for my life so far. I'm very, what's the word that I'm wanting to use? I tend to be very strict about saying to people when people say, oh, I'm a proud South African, or I'm a proud Zulu, or I'm a proud Mosotho, or I'm a proud. And I say, why would you be proud of something you didn't earn? All you did to become a Zulu is
to be born there.
It's just to pop out of a uterus of a Zulu woman. Like, what is there to be proud of? And I get why people are proud of who they are. But I'm particularly grateful for the accident of history that spewed me out in 1972 so that I have the memories that I have. And I've been doing a lot of writing. I'm doing a lot of writing. I mean, one of the things about sobriety is that clarity of mind to actually remember. Yeah. You know, when we were plotting and we were talking about the fact that we bring you Andile, for instance, I actually realized that, as I'm writing, whenever I think of you, right, she forms part of certain memories of a particular period.
But you say you met her as a teenager. She was a teenager.
Well, maybe she might have been early 20s, right? And she may not necessarily remember this. But in my previous life, I used to form part of these organizations that the National Party used to call, the apartheid bosses used to call the ANC in prayer. So student activism, YCA, I met her when she was young. I think she had just finished high school. Yes. Yeah. We used to be in the same circles, going to the same conferences. She was very outspoken. We used to hang around the Mayfair head office and so on. And,
oh my God.
And she was a bit younger than me, but then I kind of finished high school at the age of 16. So I just used to assume that everyone was. So I remember those periods, and I remember things like walking from Mayfair on foot to Auckland Park, to Yeoville. I am grateful for all the memories, because as I keep writing, I realize that if I had to do it all over, I probably would still want to be born in 1972, because I have straddled so many lifetimes in my life. And that was a particular period. And then there was a period that came after that where I was like a young person in the 90s teaching, and then I went to Unilever. I have so many memories of great things. But I'm also just grateful that I have a brain that kind of still remembers these things, where I look at my journey, I just think, it's been a good innings so far. If I were to kill over and die now, I'm grateful for my life. I've really had a great life. It may not be the life that I plotted, but the life that I have, I'm grateful for it. It's been a great life.
That's powerful. So this morning I was driving my mom to an event where she's busy, this 83-year-old, okay? She's one of the conveners of this organization, Gauteng Retired Nurses Forum.
Nice.
Right? Retired but not tired.
Yeah.
And certainly not expired.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, my mother's missed out on so many opportunities that I have. Apartheid really robbed people of their worth, of their value, of their potential, most importantly, their potential. And my mother was robbed of so many things during apartheid, whether it's a status in the hospitals because the white nurses had to be on top and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm grateful that I lived during apartheid, but also after. To reap the benefits that my mother and her peers never saw. They couldn't even imagine the kind of opportunities that would open for us. So I'm grateful for that. This country makes me mad. It makes me angry. But I'm grateful that I got to live a better life, I suppose, more than my mother. And I suppose what made me even more grateful was, these women, 80-something-year-old, these old nurses, were screwed out of their pensions. And there's a redress movement to try and get them their real pensions, because man. No, and there's only one politician who's paying attention to that, and that's Bantu Holomisa.
Wow.
Bantu Holomisa is the one who is literally trying to fight for people who, for example, who are in the old Vodcast, Sky, Transkei, all those people and I hope and pray for her that she gets some of that money while she's alive. Because it seems like the government is doing these tactics. Where she's supposed to they have her starting nursing 4 years later than she actually did. And she can prove she had the proof, and now she doesn't anymore. But now they're literally asking her for papers from 1963.
Imagine that.
Which I think Nina Masimba, actually. Because who do you expect?
They're not trying to
and they don't have a centralized system where you can be like, oh no, we can see in the system.
Yeah.
You worked at Barra, you worked at Hillbrow, you worked at Joburg. Do you understand? Or there's because obviously somebody's benefiting, if that money even exists at all anymore. So that's what I'm grateful for, just to kick it off. That's what I want to say.
Sure.
But anyway, Andile, you are part of a program that's become a part of our lives now. How many years has Khumbul'ekhaya been on? And you have been
2006.
presenter since day one.
Yes,
That
2006.
hardly ever happens. First of all, that a program lasts that long on the national station. And then second of all, same presenter, Shem. Do you understand what an accomplishment is? Now, the punkness of the move is that if we were in a real economy where there's a television economy, you would by now be an executive producer on that program.
Baby,
Am I lying?
I would have shares over there.
Literally,
I've
because
made millions for those guys. And you know, one year I fell on set and it was so bad. I mean, we've changed sets so many times over the years, but whatever it was, took me from the set on stage to where the jib was on the ground. And so when I landed, you know, at this my left and tried, you know, to absorb or I don't know what I was trying, whatever. But I broke my arm in 3 places. And I had 2 links left to do. And this episode was needed for the next week because we've had times where, oh no, we've got the season in the bag, we can relax. We've had times where it's crunch. There are no episodes next week. What's playing? So it was one of those weeks, and my team is like, yo, because that kind of fall, I was wearing an orange outfit. It left a mark, almost a picture of, you know, which parts of me hit the ground. That's how, and at night, this was at night. And everyone is like, no, let's cut, you know, take you to the doctor. I'm like, guys, and then what's going to play next week? I was like, call makeup. They call makeup because I'm crying now.
Right.
Get water, come down. Okay.
2 more links.
But manj, seguso, whatever it was. And I, yeah. And I'm starting to in my mind, I'm like, the viewer's not dumb. They'll be like, I talk with my hands. She was on, and now, you know. And, yo, that pain, okay, it's sorted, but weather changes or I don't know when what happens, I'll feel that. And that's a constant reminder of even just that. What did I get for that? There's a compensation thing that happens because I'm at work.
Like workers' compensation, right?
But none of that happened. I had to pay my own bills, everything. So it was hard for the viewer. And I'm that person who likes to fight my own battles in my corner because I don't want to disturb you because Khumbul'ekhaya is bigger than me. So now if I'm out here and I'm trending, these people are like this, like this, like that, it takes away.
Of course.
And then also our society is such that very manipulated and manipulative. So it'll be me, Manje, like I've seen with colleagues, you know, simply because I spoke about what is due to me. Right. But for me, my life is with such intention that those shares, that executive producership, whether nyang nigga or running nigga, I am it. And nobody can take that from me. So knowing that, I've learned so much through that show.
Right.
I produce, I script now, you know, I can put an entire amazing thing together, which I have. So some of these things in life, I mean, we're all on journeys, right? So whoever makes that kind of decision to say someone falls and breaks emsebenzini, no, we're not gonna take care of that. And when you look at the revenue that you're getting through this talent, what does it say to you? Who are you?
You know,
so yeah,
I did not want ukungena emlonyeni to enter you in the mouth when you were talking, and Andile responded and she said 2006, and in my head, my mathematical head, I'm like, that's 20 years. That's big. 20 straight years of you being a part of this. Yeah. And you are busy right now. You've just shared a story that has to do with what, quite honestly, is a basic. It's such a
basic
employment.
Employment. Because surely, is there no contribution to the workman compensation fund? With all that driving, should there be an accident? And so and that scares me, because a lot of us and a lot of people are part of particular institutions where it really does not matter. You know, I'm always proud to say, I've been writing for the Sunday Times for the past 17 years as an independent contractor, right? So I've got absolutely no rights. You know, like I'm not doing anything. You know, that's all I do. I just provide that particular labor. But now my question is, Kgomotso is basically now being ufuna right? So I just want to check with you. So it's now 20 years.
Yeah.
Any plans of some kind of celebration of 20 years of Khumbul'ekhaya?
Oh no, I got given flowers not last year, the year before. That's about it.
Okay.
No, look here. We don't take care of ourselves. We don't take care of each other. The entertainment industry is one of the worst places for a creator. Creatives are spirit people. Creatives, some say they're divas, they're finicky, they're what is because you carry something. I'm fun now, I'm seeing influence, I mean. And so when you are put in a space that doesn't really care about your essence, but what you bring, you quickly have to adjust, which is unfair, because ikhona imali yokuthi ngilimele. Ikhona imali yokuthi next season pay me more for my contract. Ikhona imali yokuthi ugogo lo simsusa eSoweto eThembisa simuse Eastern Cape akangahambi ngeTez. There's money for that. But someone decides, nah, we're going to cut corners, because we are all here expressing who we are. So they're expressing who they are. So what are you going to do about that? You're going to let that phase you. You're going to get into that, because it's vitriol, it's dark, it's low vibrational. And then 20 years later, mawubheka yona leyo ndawo leyo that does that. Where are you? You've built this giant monster off of the talents of Black people. What have you given back? Zero. There's more. But my life is not about that. Mine was to take that Khumbul'ekhaya and place it where, and I didn't understand at first why. But over the years, I get it. I get why I was part of that.
Let's talk about that, because I'm curious as to like what kind of impact personally.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell some harrowing stories.
Yeah.
You know, and you used to be, I don't know if you still do it, because I haven't watched it a while. I was like, Ndumiso, do you understand? So Khumbul'ekhaya is about migration, and the horrible effects of migration on the Black family in particular,
and displacement, and displacement as a result.
What has that done for you personally? When you telling us these stories week after week after week, year after 20 years later, we're still telling the same stories.
You know, I come from that family, Model C, right? That era. So. You know about apartheid, you were there, so when people post day soft on your head or hold your body, if you decided to go Magui strike, stay away and all of those. And then you now come into this space, we are twang or Andile. First of all, I can't string a complete respectable Zulu sentence together. I mean, if you were to get my audition tape, it was too hilarious, right? But the minute I get in there, something happens that I didn't get at home about what it is, the migration, the displacement. But now, who are you as an African? What are you about? Because a lot of the people that came there, I mean, I remember one guy, I think in the first 5 years, he would say, every summer, my whole body gets pimples and all kinds of things. I've gone here, I've gone there, I don't work. I'm looking for my father. And every nyanga sangoma that I go to says, if my father can do isigo, then these things, would leave. from this girl who doesn't understand what?
You're thinking, bro, we've got allergies.
Eczema, get an eczema cream. What you talk about? You
See a
know?
dermatologist.
Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? But then it goes deep. Every week, it's different. And all these things have to do with inimba. But then, because I love what I do, and I never wanted at any point to misplace or misword or miss whatever. And lucky enough to work with one of the most amazing scriptwriters in South Africa, Msizi Mshwetsi. And I mean, I remember looking for Ngqoloban first season because I was gonna do this. I was not going to sound whatever, model see it, you know, with this English. I wanted that thing. And so getting that Ngqoloban and reading those stories, now you're reading about who we are. And all of this is because I'm trying to understand you when I relay your story. So Khumbul'ekhaya has not only built my compassion as a woman, as a human being, but it has brought me so much closer to my Africanness, to understanding my roles that actually it's about intent, it's about belief. In fact, belief presupposes that there's non-belief. So it's how people live, it's their way of life. And so when someone says, "Mfuneleni this guy," and when you do find the guy and the guy's like, "Yeah, okay, sharp, I have a family, yeah, no." Then what happens to you, you know? And then you sit there. I mean, we've cried a lot through these episodes. So for me, it's really grounded me in our story as a South African people, in our story in terms of our cultural and even our African spirituality, the indigenous spirituality, what was here, the temples that were here before Jesus Christ ever walked this planet, you know. It's been a healing journey because even in my personal story, I wasn't raised by my biological father. So I could resonate with someone who's looking for this guy and just wanting to know, was it me or was it a relationship no old lady that made you leave, you know? Or was it about work? Where do I fit into this entire thing? Because my identity is latched onto this. And so if I don't get these answers from you, especially for men, then who am I? And these would be the questions, you know? So,
You know,
a lot of education.
Kgomotso is you know, was asking very relevant questions just now. We're, you know, talking about ownership and being executive producer and owning all of these things. Because we have seen the same industry be able to grant all of these things to, say, Derek Watts at Cut Blanche. but of course, I mean, we know
what color we are.
the correct color.
But where I'm trying to get to with this is I want to ask you a question, and it's got to do with the fact that the reason that Khumbul'ekhaya, people assume that it was a fait accompli, that it was always going to work. There's always going to be an endless number of episodes that it was going to be 20 years.
Yes.
But the reason that Khumbul'ekhaya worked, by my estimation, is precisely because of the host. And this is why you are still there 20 years later, that there is something about how you present it and how you tell these stories and how where it becomes very clear that there is something authentic about you. And this has to do with what you're just talking about.
Yeah.
There is something about how you are doing it that gives one the impression that it actually really, a lot of the time, really hits home. And I should know this because I've worked with this one, Kgomotso, you know, since 2009. And I can tell you there are certain favorite stories that her and I have about doing radio, because the type of radio that we don't do the radio. We really, who we are on radio is who we are when the mic is off.
Yep.
And it's so clear that this is who we are. So what I want to ask you is, you must have had some moments. What are some of your favorite? Did you remember off the top of your head some of those moments, like one of those episodes where you found yourself in a situation, someone has been found or someone has not been found, where you thought to yourself, oh my God, this is serious. I'm talking, these are like people's lives.
You know?
Do you?
Yeah. And some of them are funny, but the one that hits me all the time, I don't even remember her name. She was from the Eastern Cape and she had a stepfather. And I think I resonated because I kind of understood with what then happens to her life. We shower every day and she's looking for, I don't remember who she was, if it was a father or a mother, but there was a stepfather who was beating her up. She comes to Joburg on a truck, meets a friend. The friend says, I'll help you find the person. And they don't find the person. The friend says, okay, well, you're here now. We've got to live. This is how I live. I sell my body. These trucks, this area, these streets, that's what we do. She does these things. And then her life spirals from there. The crew that was shooting that episode, I wonder, all these years later, because here you are, ready to film this person. This person, mid-sentence, sees someone walking past. She goes, she does what she needs to do, she gets paid, she comes back, she sits down, and she carries on the conversation. And this keeps happening the entire time. And at some point, director's like, let's go see where she does this thing. And I remember those pictures, toilet. Lawakdala futhi alapha phezulu la, you know, sele lonto leyo lapha phansi akusena lutho, smallanyana place. And a girl is all kinds of ways that you should not be on TV, but she is. And when we do this journey with her, we then even find her unomntwana ushonile throughout this journey of looking for this person. For me, that story talk about people being robbed. For me, it spoke about how wrong and the opposite when society goes there, like that extreme of darkness that nobody should have to go through. Because a girl just wanted peace in her life. You're being beat up every day, ekhaya. And so you just want Inda, your Kosela, and it was her father that she was looking for, and a figure that will protect you. Instead, then life deals you all these cards. And now, we got Gula foot when we found her. Gubi. So those kinds of stories, they leave a mark. That was early, maybe in the first 2-3 seasons of Kumbu, that story. But it's still with me today because it didn't end well for that lady.
I can't imagine it would. But a question that I have also is about, we've discussed on this show the uselessness of African surnames, in the sense that if you really follow it up, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
A lot of people who come to Kumbul'ekhaya have one request.
It's the surname.
Hey, we are attest to isibongo. Ukuthi angenzeli into zami ukuthi izinto zami zihambe kahle. We are so beholden to surnames that I wish. Well, I want to see how you view it, because I'm like, let's get over it, and it's not helpful. How do people really want lesbongo?
I mean, it's because when you look at that African spirituality and science and all these things, and you're in trouble and you want help, and every second person you go to, you believe that. The same way that Mama Kagloya, and you go to another one, and now it's Mama Kagloya, you believe that. So it's very deeply spiritual. And for me, it's part of the entire agenda of messing up the Black family, because you take away what really, really, really matters. And through generations, you systematically wipe out what Kokobetu knew. Because also when you go back, as you say, there were no surnames.
No.
There were no surnames.
No surnames.
You know, I understand.
Right.
But somewhere, someone added something. So in you being lost and trying to find, because that's what it is. It's trying to find self. It's identity. It's feeling like, mangbona le family lena Ndumiso Ngcobo, they're married, and isibongo sabo ilogo, and kunabantwana, and it looks like their life is progressing because they did the so-called African things. We don't even know what the African things are anymore because everything is so diluted. So I'd also love for people to get over it, but I understand that there's a lot of unlearning that needs to happen. And people right now by themselves. When are they going to get to that level of unlearning? That for me has to be a concerted, intended journey to self.
And it doesn't help that there's so many sangomas, because really, if you I could be a sangoma now, ne?
Yeah.
And if I could guess, nje, not knowing you, like your parents were not married properly.
I mean,
do you understand?
Hey.
It could go even like 50% of the, actually 65% chances are I would be right.
Yeah.
We are being preyed on
Yeah.
by people who see our misery.
Yes.
And we hold on to it. Please hold that thought. We're going to talk to Andile Gaelesiwe more after this little break.
Yeah.
Isbongo.
Yo, Isbongo.
What people will do for Isbongo.
It's darkness, guys. Even nalento yezangoma. Mina ngasho ngathi the day ubona umlungu entweni yabantu abamnyama, must know it's done.
It's over for us.
It's over. And abantu abamnyama bayabathanda when they see them, bayabatrendisa, they're there.
We celebrate them more.
Yeah, because a white man.
Yeah.
A white man is also a sangoma, meaning kushukuthi lento le irise.
Save it for the air. Okay. Welcome back to Still Uncaptured. Andile, we were talking about surnames and how because there's so many people about Twasayo.
Yeah.
They can guess any number of things and they would be right.
Yeah.
Like my parents were married esontweni, right? But they never did the traditional aspect of it. So we've been also told your parents were not married properly.
Yeah.
All it is really just pattern recognition. All you need to do is just know a little bit about people. And I know that for every 10 people that come through to me, there is probably some
Chances
grandparent who is using the wrongs. It doesn't. This is not like groundbreaking.
No, it's not. It's well thought out, and it's a paycheck for someone.
Right.
That's why they have to do this work and read so that we as good to and honor. Because here's the thing, I believe every one of us have a gift. We are here to express the God self in our various forms. And so there are provisions that we come to this planet with. And depending on how much time you spend nurturing whatever you are here to bring and whatever guides you, then you'll be called Isangoma or Inyanga or Mfundisi or, all these titles. But for me, it's even beyond all of that. All of these titles and all of these institutions, including the church.
Particularly.
Because imagine a world where all of us are in our superpowers. Why do I need to come to you?
Right.
Why do I need to ask you anything? I have all the answers that I need. And the truth is, that's what life is. We all have our superpowers. But because I'm lazy, ngizoyesontweni yolalela imfundiso nesande yangitshela ukuthi uthini uJesu. Ngizolalela usangoma ngitshela ukuthi why emsebenzini kungekho so or kuso or whatever it is. So for me, it's that the identity of a soul mixed in with all these delusions and all this darkness and all it then presents itself through manga ngithola isibongo sami bese ngifaka leya bracelet leyana. Then I'm a man. Then society recognizes me. And yet for me, every single thing that you need is in you. Just quiet yourself.
Hey, but also, guys, I do not know how. I don't think we stress this enough. I certainly haven't stressed this enough on this particular show. Hey, but guys, we've got to read.
We have to read.
We've got to read.
And
read books.
And my worry is that we're reading less because of
especially
social
now.
media.
Yeah.
You understand? You'd rather scroll on TikTok than read a couple of chapters.
And Ndumiso, on that, even those books that we are supposed to read are not in circulation anymore.
Yeah.
There's an entire world that makes sure that we don't read siyadakwa, sibhizi, sex, nemithi, and all these things that are outside of ourselves. So already you are at a back foot because of the information.
And you do not, you see, when you don't read enough, and this is one of those things where, people who write, and in particular, a friend of mine, Khumbul'ekhaya, likes to say, it's like, it's not even so much that, it's not even so much that you read, it's how much you read, because the more you read, one of the things about reading, the more you understand how little you know, and it makes you even more curious, and it makes you know what books to go and look for.
What
so that when
resonates
I say to someone, but do you actually realize that if you come from KZN and part of what was then the Transvaal and also part of the Cape, that there was a British administrator called Sir Theophilus Shepstone who basically went around to say, for expediency, for poll, for administration, let's give these natives surnames, and that is who really is the father of your surname. That if you are Kumeta, you can't be no, it was some white man from, and people say, and I'm like, it's reading. Read, and because the more you read, the more you know what to read, and people are even averse, averse about reading fiction. There is so much information in fiction.
Without a doubt.
And so when someone, I say to ask people, say, what do you read? No, I only read biographies. Then I know you're not a reader.
Right.
If you do not read fiction, then you're not a reader.
But at least reading biographies is better than, what's your favorite book? The Bible.
Or Who Moved My Cheese?
Like, seriously. But the thing is, the other day on Facebook, I wrote that... and I was being provocative, but I was also annoyed. For most men who criticize feminism have never read a single feminist text.
I saw that.
And have no intention of reading it. And it was exactly speaking to that point. Because if you read, you will understand. It was quite clear you don't understand. You just spew things that you think. And it's like, and don't talk to me about feminism if you haven't read a feminist. Because what are you talking about? You're talking about a perception of yours that's quite stupid, So I don't play with that.
But I mean, the media space has created that vacuum of people not reading. Everything
But with opinion, but you're allowed to spout your opinion.
And you think because Ubonobanbani on TikTok 2 videos ago saying this, now you adopt that, and then you think now I can also be part of this debate. I can also say whatever, and not from an educated place, not from not even educated, a place of knowing.
Informed.
Information.
A place of knowing.
I have been accused so many times, and I will never back down, and people say, oh, Ndumiso, you're so elitist on social media. When I say, I hear people saying, well, we're all entitled to our opinions. And I'm like, no, we're not all entitled to our opinions. We are only entitled to our informed opinions.
Right.
Because not all opinions are the same. I cannot have a debate about medicine with someone who had spent 6 years of theory on an MPCHB, because I'm not as informed as someone who has studied it. So if I am bringing my opinion about medicine against someone who has studied it, I think I need to back down. Sit down. Chill
down, without a doubt.
Chill down.
But Andile, I want to get back to something else. Yeah, you've got an organization. Yeah?
Yes, I do.
You were a Clinton scholar or something like that at Harvard.
Hey,
hello,
so Epstein files.
Yeah, you run an organization.
Oh my God,
and part of it is part of their longer story, a more intense story of you doing something nobody was doing at the time.
Yeah.
Not only did you say, my name is Andile and I was sexually abused, you said, I was sexually abused by my father, which... It was like Modimo Andile. Do you understand? I had I had gotten used to the idea of like saying I've been abused sexually as a child or whatever.
Yeah.
The idea of you talking about your father blew my mind.
Yeah.
Please walk me through that. Like, what did it do for you then, and how did it lead to you forming this organization?
You know, I do believe that every trauma that we go through has somewhat of a reason in you building and growing, right? Or not even a reason, an effect. So I had gone through this sexual violation at the hands of this man. I didn't live with him and had never talked about it. And it made sure that this was my secret. I'm taking this to my grave and so on and so forth. In fact, the only person I told just after it happened was my grandmother, and I made her swear to secrecy forever.
So when it happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just after it happened.
Okay.
Like days or whatever. And I remember her, Ndile angeke, it's ma. Like, I've got uncles. I don't want this tumbu. I don't want, just keep this. And also, don't tell my mother. This will kill her. And reluctantly, she kept my secret. So when the time came for the stuff to come out, I wasn't even prepared for it. I was at YFM. I was doing CSI there. I was doing a bit of radio there. And because of this girl that had made a phone call on Fresh's show, just that weekend, I was just completely triggered. I'm not an alcohol person, but that weekend I drank myself silly. I was at a friend's house. I was house sitting. And she had a bar there. Ngakhala, ngakhuluma, ngathandaza, ngayenza konke. And on the Sunday, I made a decision. Okay, I have to now khubula this blanket that I've been wearing all my life. And I wasn't going to do it. If I was going to do it, I was going to do it thoroughly. And it was so amazing that on that, when I called Fresh and I told him what I wanted to do, picked a day, and then he said, we're going to record an ad and we're going to put it out there so that we have as many listeners as possible. My mom, who never travels for work, she used to work for Metro Rail for the longest time, somehow had a conference to go to. We're like, yeah, where now? So about my conference. Yeah, she was out of the province, so she didn't hear. And at this point, I have a man in my life who's the most amazing father. Gaelesiwe, Dibetlela. And so, without even checking in with him, what I wanted to make sure was, when I speak, because I'm going to do this fully, everybody who doesn't know that he's not my dad, because he's so amazing, is not then going to think it's him. Right. And so I needed, my allegiance was to Gaelesiwe. And in protecting him, I had to spill the beans as they were. And doing that had, that interview, mixed reactions, but on that day, which I'll never forget, it was a lot of love. South Africans showed me the kind of love I didn't know. Some people drove to the studio just to say, damn, we were listening to this interview. How do you feel? Oh, and by the way, it also happened to me. That's how I started Open Disclosure. It was never part of my plan. I was singing, I was on radio, I was going to be on TV, I was going to be famous. That was all. I was never going to be a social worker. Today I'm a social worker, But the outpouring then left me reeling, because I realized it wasn't just Pam who called Fresh on the phone who was in trouble. It wasn't just me. It was a lot of YFM listeners, meaning it was a lot of young people in South Africa who were hiding this secret. And so I went to the boss, Dirk Hartford, and I said, look, dude, this is what I want to do. I don't have money. I was like, you don't have to have money. Give me a phone, a computer, and a desk. I want to formalize this thing. I don't know what I'm going to do, but the first thing I want to do is gather all these people. The phone calls, YFM phones were jammed for days. Recordings. I wanted to sit down, download everything, which I did, and then start meeting with these people. And I would meet with people in my parking. I'd meet with people because we were in Best Valley. I'd meet Gupi, where were I from? Not Best Valley. Bertram's, yeah. I'd meet with people around those areas. Joubert Park, some of them. Gandhi Square, you know. And I don't know what to say. I just want us to talk about what happened. What happened to you? Also, you heard what happened to me? Or what happened to you? That's how this whole thing started. And it's one decision I'm very proud of myself for. Of course, not everybody, in fact, a pedophile is not going to like what I did.
Not at all.
And so I did get a Carlton Center. One day, taxi driver out of nowhere. Atya, nayi lengane engana mbeko ngakhuliswanga kahle. Hamba wena ema TV nama radio khuluma ngobaba wakho ini hey azakangithuke kanje lo baba la. But you know, also at that moment there was a peace. The fact that I'm not carrying this thing, I didn't realize how much damage it was doing to me to keep the secret. And so even when that guy represented what my biological father was and how I was thinking he's reacting wherever he is. And so I'll take that. So I took it, walked away. But then was very resolute. Oh, this is now, okay, now I understand why I'm famous. That for the first time was the clarity for me. Because prior to that, I remember there was Next magazine. Next had every week, they would say this about music, they would say that. The final thing was I had a boob job done. Because Namie and Papa used to be all sexy and sultry on stage, wara, you know. Like, yeah, Lona, uhambe uthenga amabele. You know, like, what?
As if that takes away your credibility.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Even if you did.
So, the pressure to now just look in your eye and not look further down. I can't afford it.
I'm here.
Looking you in the eye.
Into the eye. You know?
Yeah.
So I then understood, okay, now I understand why I'm famous. Because then there was Sunday World. And, you know, your mom would call you, what's happening in Piloya? Because also I don't live at home anymore, you know?
Right.
So, but this redirected my life. This gave my life purpose. I'd always wanted to know what my purpose was. I'd always known I love music, I love to sing. I've always been writing. But there was more to it than that. And so what happened after I spoke on Fresh's show, I could not have planned. And then after I had those meetings with these individuals in parks and whatever spaces, some at YFM, then I needed to formalize that. And then the Minister of Social Development at the time, Zola Square, wrote a whole speech about this young girl, this. And then DSD got in touch with me. I'm still friends with the guy who was his, what was he? Chief of staff or something, Vuganim Tinto, to this day. Because he held my hand. This is how you register an NGO. This is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And I mean, everything just took a life of its own. And it's over 20 years later. We have 2 offices. The Open Disclosure Foundation. Our office here at GBV is Soweto, Orlando. And then our biggest office is in Soshanguve. We've got 35 staff there. We just deal with
35?
Yeah. Oh. We deal with substance abuse there. We put them through ice bath, sauna. I got in trouble from the funder because yin listen to Liz. I'm like, well, if we're really serious about cleaning these young people, then let's do it. Let's not take statistics. We saw 5,000 people and that's that. Because these are people's lives and people are dying. You talked about at the top of the show, your mom being robbed. Young people are under attack and being robbed. And so for me, it validates my purpose. I was saying to you, ask me how I'm tired. TV is a breeze, it's beautiful. This work on another, oh my God. But I couldn't be doing anything else because I know when a young person gets that help and that hand up and those tools to then try and rebuild their life and go about their way, then I've done my bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another part of you. Just when you finish, I don't want to finish this conversation, by the way, but the producer's like,
Yeah. I know.
So you're also in sales. You wanted to bring some products that you wanted
Sales,
to
not
see.
sales. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
So I'm bad at sales.
Okay.
Like, I'm not. I'm a creator, right? So I've always loved making things, but things that heal the body. I have a very huge interest in how the body works. And I think when my dad died in 2020, that's what sparked.
Which one?
So my, I was at my real dad.
Gaelesiwe.
That's my real
Gaelesiwe.
dad.
Got it.
Gaelesiwe. I don't know where the
I just wanted to do
Yeah, I don't know where the other dude is, but
Right.
yeah. But when Gaelesiwe died of liver cancer, which we couldn't put our finger, we didn't know for the longest time, they didn't know it was wrong. Just at the tail end of it, I'd been making toothpaste. So the very first product I'd ever made was toothpaste, right? And he was my first client. That guy was MacGyver. That guy was indoda for me, the sum total of that human being. And so I'd make toothpaste and he'd get it and he'd love it. Then he'd drive to my house with the empty container. I'm not in the mood. Whatever, you know. And he was like, this thing works. Anxiety, amagams, gingivitis, what? I'm like, yeah. He says, yeah. I'm like, okay. He's the only one spurring me on to do this. So now, fast forward, now he's sick. Now I start looking, because I'm doing all this research. There's a thing called CMOS. But where do I find that? It doesn't exist in South Africa. You know, I find it the week before he passes. And I try give it to him. He's like, yeah, okay. But no, I'm in pain. And then just a little fast forward before backward, he had said to me that December, he died in January, before Kuvalwa. It was one of the last funerals where we could all attend without He says to me, mina not those pume Soweto. My mom's name is Dolly, so I used to call her Do. Mina not those pume Soweto. Sibone abeSuthu baseLesotho bane Vaseline, and they things and it's good. So when this is in December, I'm in Zanzibar, like having the time of my life. When le toothpaste yakho uyenza Andile uyithengisela abantu. How about ungifuna nge-toothpaste? No, uyenze le toothpaste and ungayiniki igama lesilungu. Find any igama le Zulu Suthu, whatever it is, but make sure you manufacture this toothpaste. And then fast forward, he passes, and after he passes, now I start playing with CMOS. Now I want to know, why did I not see that he was sick? Why did the doctors not know what was wrong? That's when I discover grandpa is the worst thing. Black people need to stay away from a grandpa. That thing, it eats you. That's what
Dr. Cindy warned us.
Yep. Do you know what I mean? And then I started making products. I have about 12 different gels. Let's show you.
Sure.
I was about to say,
Show it.
I brought you stuff. Ndumiso siqale ngawe lapho, uvula lapho amanzi lawo.
Okay.
I brought you stuff.
So is this
my God.
goodie bag?
Yeah, that's our water. So we are called God's Pharmacy ZA. What you have in your hand there is water with 3 magnesiums. You can open the thing and see it.
The bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Are you one of those you hate it or like it?
No, I'm addicted to
Okay.
I really am. Okay, so
that is, it's called clean water. It was tested. It's clean, Gamampela, and then it's live. It's alive. You know, the water we get from the tap, if it's not dirty, is dead. And in fact, the thing about water as well, it's a science to it, because you can dilute minerals in your body. That's why they say don't drink when you're eating, because then your gastric acid, you're a diluter, and then now you have GERD, you have reflux, it keeps your heartburn and all these things. So with that water, it's so powerful. It'll deal with it. It hydrates you. Magnesium is one of those elements that we need. And as we age, they decrease. So that's my US exciting thing. And then here, abantu abaphethwe i-gout, abantu abafuna ukuluza weight, abantu abane the third eye valekile. Okay, we don't want it to open because now uzogcina uhlanya knowing all these secrets zomhlaba, but at least have that sense of self and understand that you're part of a bigger thing. So for me, making these things is definitely for the healing of people. But more than anything, it's still me with my purpose of healing people. That's what I do at the Open Disclosure Foundation. That's what I do on Uthando Noxolo. That's what we do on Khumbul'ekhaya. You know, so it's all along those lines. So angazi uba nofuni into ye-gout.
He doesn't drink anymore. He don't drink anymore. He's been sober for about 6 months.
Oh wow.
Almost 7.
Sorry,
Almost 7.
7 months.
Big difference.
That's amazing.
It's a huge difference.
That's amazing. Your skin shows. And then I brought you some other stuff which you can then open. There's a sea moss gel in here. Maybe you like it.
Yeah.
It's one of her biggest selling products. It's the dewormer. Because what research is now telling us is a lot of these chronic diseases have everything to do with the parasites in our bodies. And I've seen it also even with myself. When you deworm, you're literally giving the body, because the body is one amazing tool. You give the body a chance to heal itself. What the body does when there's an influx of those parasites, it'll locate them in one place. And then they'll say, if it's in your prostate, you've got prostate cancer. There's one professor who was doing, I don't know what they call it, to get that procedure, your prostate. And he literally zooms in there and he shows you in that sac that they call cancer. It's a whole bunch of these parasites wiggling and moving in there. So we grew up being told as children we need to deworm, but we need to deworm throughout our lives because linyama, we eat things from, I mean, ingonyane kufanele idle ubisi lenkomo. Not me, not you. That's why a lot of us are lactose intolerant. You know, dairy is the worst.
I love cheese.
Yes.
How can I live without cheese?
I love cheese too. But so we can do these things. I tried being vegan. I tried for 2 years, but it worked for me.
Okay.
And then ngabuyela futhi because ngiyethanda inyama. Angiyithandi lamb.
I was a vegetarian for 8 years, but I wasn't vegan. I still ate my eggs and my
No, I cut everything. I saw the most amazing transformation in my body. I could rebuild cells. I started fasting. I mean, before I started singing, I grew up having issues with stomach ulcers. And one of the things that I'll say the church helped me do was learn how to fast. Because we'd fast 3 days, 3 nights, dry.
No water, no.
Dry, nothing. And on an ordinary day, if I go until 12, ulcer. But in my fasted state, it was the most amazing thing, and I never understood. I always thought, it's the Holy Spirit. It's, it was always a God thing. But Gandhi, this God created this amazing body that I don't think all of us will get to fully understand. I don't care who you are, neuroscientist.
We're not nearly grateful enough for the health
to
that
fully
we have.
understand.
We're really not.
This body.
Where can people buy God's Pharmacy products?
God's Pharmacy products I found on God's Pharmacy. I love this. I love that I can do this. God's Pharmacy ZA, www.godspharmacy.za. That's our online store. And you can order all kinds of things from stuff for the face. Everything is natural. The toothpaste is coming. The underarm is coming. So for me, the idea is everything I do is herbs, right? And then I will mix elements like ormus, which is one of these rocks that we have, liquid gold. There are all these amazing things that are natural that could
colloidal silver,
colloidal gold, copper. So I have all of those in some of my gels. I will include based on whatever I'm making a gel for. So God's Pharmacy. .co, God's Pharmacy ZA.
godspharmacy.co.za.
Yes,
I'm
God's
really
Pharmacy
good.
ZA. Yes,
.co.za.
.co.za. So that's where you can order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to imbibing the water.
Yes.
The Irish sea moss.
Yes.
Which I'm assuming is better than any other sea moss.
Oh, yeah. So all my products are lab tested.
Yeah.
That's why I can come out and put my face next to them.
All right.
Because like South Africa, we like to pull each other down. And I was not about to allow that space. So I took my time to get to a place where I'm compliant.
Yeah.
So that.
Well, Andile, thank you so much for blessing us
guys,
with
thank
your
you.
presence. It's remarkable having watched your journey grow every 5 years into something bigger and bigger. And with this now, good luck.
Yeah.
I wish you much success.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And all the best to you guys.
Thank you.
South Africa is in trouble right now. And we need abantu bangempela to rise. Someone said, isikhathi samasotsha. You know, some people would feel like, why was I left for last? You weren't left for last. You were left for the most important time, and this is that time. So whatever you guys are doing, do more of it.
Thank you for gracing us with your presence. We really appreciate it, yeah?
My pleasure.
And you, we will see again next week. Thank you.